This channel just hit 1 million views, which blows my mind, and to celebrate the 1 millionth person who has stared at this pasty white mug, I decided to do a lightning round video. I solicited questions across all my social media, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and you guys had a lot of questions for me. I have 50 for you here, and I'm going to do them all right now. Let's do this. Egan Hines asked, am I the only real person in the world? Yes, you are. I'm just kidding. Robert Donning said, can you blow my mind with a ona-liner? The term one-liner uses a hyphen. Does that blow your mind? Joseph Enright, what is your blood type? I don't know. I should know this. I feel like my life is in some kind of peril now. Brandon J. Allaire asked, if the Earth is moving at 60,000 miles per hour through space, why don't you think the atmosphere doesn't just rip off? Because it's moving through empty space, so there's nothing to rip it off. Mark Lott asked, why is the speed of light so slow? Is the speed of light slow, or is the universe just that big? This is a fascinating question. It requires an entire video, so you get a video. Joseph Enright asked, have you heard of Sesame Credit, and would you opt in or resist? Okay, this is actually a super fascinating topic. For those who don't know, Sesame Credit is something that they're doing over in China right now, which is kind of like giving credit scores to people for being good citizens. In other words, it's a credit score that's not based purely on currency and how much you have in savings, how much you're spending, how much your debt is, and stuff like that. Of course, the problem becomes, in order to do that, they have to kind of monitor everything that you're doing, and it's up to the state to decide what makes a good citizen and what doesn't. So it gets kind of gross. Having said that, I'm really interested in the fact that there's a possibility for a new monetary system based on something other than capital and based on something other than jobs, because as we move into a post-work culture where we have robots and machines that do everything for us, a lot of jobs are going to go away, and we need to find some other way for people to make their living. Holy crap, I'm talking really fast. Aaron Robinson asked, why haven't we united as a whole world? Why are we still separate countries' laws when we're all on the same planet? That We Are the World song failed. This is an incredibly complex and long answer, but the short answer is tribalism. It's in our brains. Billy Infante asked, who are you voting for? I'm voting for the secret ballot. I say this pejoratively, but really, like once upon a time, a secret ballot was like a cornerstone of American democracy. Nobody was supposed to ever say who they voted for. It was like a bad thing to talk about once upon a time. Now we literally plaster our cars with it. But in the choice of Grandma Nixon versus Orange Hitler, I'm gonna have to go with Grandma Nixon. Claudia McDaniel asked, what kind of event would cause the Earth's spin to slow down or speed up? A really bad one. A name I could never possibly announce asked, toilet paper over or under? In my house, it's always like this. Justin Shillington, why is gravity just a theory? In my understanding, there are physical laws and then there are the forces behind those laws. So Newton's laws of motion still apply, but the mechanism that makes the apple fall from the tree is just a theory, because we're still trying to figure it out exactly. On Twitter, Angus asked, what's it feel like being a liberal in the reddest state? True story, I was hanging out with some of my friends that are even more liberal than I was in a restaurant, and this guy came in looking like he just got back from hunting somewhere and was sitting over in the table behind us, and they were like talking like very loudly, very liberal type stuff, and I started getting really nervous when the guy got up and walked out to his truck because I was convinced he was going to come back in and shoot us. It's something like that. Superman Sohan 9 asked, during the Big Bang, how did matter outweigh antimatter? This is a fascinating question because something I ran across when I was doing the Big Bang video was that it said that for every billion particles of antimatter, there was 1,000,000,001 particles of regular matter, which means that all the matter in the universe that you see right now is only 1/100000th of what was created in the Big Bang, which is fascinating. But that is an awesome question, and there's no way I can answer it all right now, so you get a video. MC Coleman Home asked, most surprising fact you learned since you started this? You know, honestly, the most surprising thing about this over the last couple of years is the reactions that I've gotten to some of my videos. People are seriously into the Mandela effect and seriously into the Big Bang Theory in ways I had no way of knowing. Joseph King asked, how do you balance your advertising job with Answers with Joe? Interest in the industry waning? What did coworkers think? That's 3 questions. Cheater. I don't balance my job with this very well, I would say, because I run into a lot of, filler content that I wind up having to do because I didn't have time to get out a full video. Some of my coworkers know about this and some of them don't, but the ones who do, they think it's pretty cool. And my interest in the industry isn't waning, but the industry is changing drastically, and it's involving things like this a lot more, so I will be more, I think, involved in video content creation and marketing in the future. The great Tim Schmoyer from Video Creators asked, when you looked in the mirror the first thing this morning, what was the first thing you thought? It went something like this. She's only 3 months old. She's only 3 months old. She's only 3 months old. Because this thing had peed in our bed for the 3rd night in a row. Yeah. And the really funny thing about that is that she's not able to get up on the bed without us putting her there, so she peed on the bed twice, and we just put her right back up there. That face, though. Quad Squad asked, if you could go back and talk to your 10-year-old self, what advice would you give? I actually did a video like that already. It was actually talking to my 14-year-old self, but you get the same idea. I'll put a card right there. Robert Donig asked, what exactly would happen if I fly into a gas giant? This is actually a fascinating topic, and with Juno now getting to Jupiter and doing its stuff there, and I think it is actually supposed to plunge into Jupiter's atmosphere. So this is an interesting question, requires a video of itself. You get a video. Chad and Kaushal asked, if you could interview any person from the recorded history of humanity, who would it be? From the recorded history of humanity. Well, that puts a spin on things. Without putting too much thought into it, I'm going to say Benjamin Franklin. I just find that guy fascinating. Jet and Kaushal also asked, what do you think was, is, will be the most interesting period in the history of the universe? You cheated and asked 2 questions. Demerits! Well, obviously the Big Bang is the most fascinating part of the universe because we just have no clue how it happened. But I'm going to be a little bit cheesy and say that we're actually kind of living in one of the most interesting times of the universe because in the very near future, cosmologically speaking, the expansion of the universe is going to make it so that stars and galaxies are going to just disappear over the horizon and we're not going to be able to see it anymore. It's only now that we're able to kind of see it in its full context, which is really cool. On Instagram, Communism Forever asked, when will the West accept communism as a superior philosophy? Let's just try to get them to pretend that corporations aren't people for now. Can we do that? The fantastic YouTube channel Legion of Weirdos asked, what is the average airspeed velocity of a laden swallow? I don't know. African or European swallow? Patience Tisdale asked, do you think it's possible we, our galaxy, lives in the mind of God? Assuming there is a God, I would say that's a very high probability. Billy Infante asked, can you elaborate on the fundamental forces of nature? They're saying that there's a newly discovered one. Yes, they have found an anomaly that may indicate the possibility of a 5th fundamental force, the other 4, of course, being gravity, electromagnetism, and the strong and weak nuclear force. But this is up for a lot of conjecture. It's an interesting topic. I'm going to have to do a whole video to cover it. You get a video. Smokin' Rosemary asked, with everyone from Steve Jobs to the Beatles being open about the use of psychedelics in the past, today's coders in Silicon Valley admitting to microdosing LSD and recent studies finding they open up new pathways in the brain, what is your experience and opinion regarding this? I have no experience in it, I'll be completely honest, with LSD anyway, but I find it super fascinating. Tim Ferriss has talked about this a little bit. I'm going to see if I can find the podcast that he talked about it, and I'm going to put it down in the show notes below, in the description below. Yeah, the whole microdosing LSD thing I think is super interesting in terms of just enhancing creativity and productivity. I'm actually super pro psychedelics. SantaCon94 asked, I just want to know, will humans ever be able to develop a reliable theory on what happens before and after death? Since we know every human body contains a consciousness soul-like element to it, what happens when we die? If so, how? In a lightning round video, the first thing I would have to say to this is it's kind of a bit of a stretch to say that we know there's a soul-like element to the body. That's still more in the realm of belief and faith than in science itself. So to give a perfectly good non-answer for this, I would say it's somewhere between going to sleep and never waking up again, or joining the universal consciousness and experiencing the perspective of every single living thing throughout the entire universe and throughout all of time. Somewhere in between there. Drake asked, would you take a Myers-Briggs assessment and tell us how you typed? I have my suspicions. Well... By Laura Taylor asked, hey Joe, have you taken the Myers-Briggs type indicator? If so, what was your result and what is your opinion of the MBTI? You guys are really curious about this, aren't you? Actually, somebody else asked me this recently, not as part of this, so that's, I don't know, it's kind of funny. But I think I took it once before and I was like an INFJ, and I honestly don't even know what that means exactly. I find Myers-Briggs interesting. I think there's a lot of different ways that we categorize people, and some are good and some are bad, but I think if there's a way to help identify other people's needs and deal with them appropriately for that need, then that's a good thing. Nazakuki asked, what do you think about the simulation hypothesis? Talked about it. My good friend Amen Panisar asked, what came first, the chicken or the egg? The dinosaur came first, which eventually became a chicken that laid the egg. Boom. Christopher Cannon asked, what do you think of a study that came out recently that theorized that quantum entanglement is actually a quantum wormhole? Truth be told, I hadn't heard about this until I got this question. I started reading about it. Super fascinating. No time for it here. You get a video. Gio Calero asked, what made you start making YouTube videos? Well, I have a filmmaking background, but I found that YouTube scratched all the itches that I got from making films for the most part, but I didn't have to raise money and I didn't have to get a whole crew of people together. It was something I could just do right here at home, put out some content, get people to see it, and it's something I really enjoyed, and it caught on, so there you go. Umasheti3, is there a possibility of universes existing on different frequencies as ours? In some of the multiverse theories, they talk about how, our universe was created with these fundamental particles and fundamental forces, and that there's a possibility that other universes existed with totally different fundamental forces and fundamental particles that have completely different attributes to them. If that means they're on different frequencies because all the rules are a little bit different, then yeah, I guess you could say that. X88 Rodney asked, what do you think about not standing during the national anthem? I think we have bigger problems in the world. S. Prash asked, who would be the 3 famous celebrities you'd bring back if cryogenics was a reality? Carl Sagan, Bill Hicks, Madeline Kahn. Because I love Madeline Kahn. But from the Next Up program, DIY Tyler G asked, if Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, how many pecks of pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? LOL, I can't believe speech-to-text actually worked. I'm sorry, was that an accident? Brown Potato asked, why do we exist? I love the explanation that we are the way the universe experiences itself. I just think that's beautiful. Carolina Leandro asked, is the universe a cell in another body? That sounds a lot like a multiverse topic, which I'm already working on. So you get a video. Trajan King from Invincible Startup asked, do you think we're living in a simulation? Why or why not? So yeah, I did the simulation theory video already, and I pointed that a second ago, but I will say that is the video that I did that has really made me kind of rethink what I think reality is. It's really kind of gotten into my head a little bit. Do I think we're in a simulated reality? I don't know, but honestly, it explains a lot of the weirdness that we see in science and have no explanations of. Having said that, it is sort of like another religious thing. Do I think we are? I don't know, but there's a percentage of me that really thinks it's possible. Ambervert502 asked, will cross-species genetics help or hurt humans in the future? I'll be optimistic and say help. XXY Lee said, what are your thoughts on sacred geometry? Hashtag not woo-woo, but hashtag purely mathematical standpoint? Okay, maybe a little woo-woo. I'm not a metaphysical type of guy for the most part. I find some of that stuff interesting, but I think that most cases of things like sacred geometry, like toruses and stuff like that, are things that were just kind of come about mathematically over the years that they saw, there are these patterns in nature and that's really interesting, therefore it must be sacred, it must be from God or something like that, and it just kind of stuck over the years. Rio asked, whom do you think of the top 5 rappers of all time? Well, you asked the right guy. I actually did listen to rap quite a bit back when I was young in the 90s, so I'm going to list my favorites from back then. Public Enemy, Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock, Kid and Play, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, and A Tribe Called Quest. Miss Johnson 0685 asked, what are your thoughts on string theory? Veritasium just put out a really cool video recently where they were talking about, amongst other things, the fact that all the particles that we see in particle physics are actually just vibrations in fields. So that's actually the way we understand the universe right now, is just a series of fields, and the particles that we witness are just vibrations in those fields. That sounds a lot like string theory, which is fascinating when you think about it. It needs a video. Gio asked, have you ever done the 30-day cold shower challenge? Okay, I keep hearing how good it is to take cold showers, and I'm down for it, except I'm not down for it because every time I've tried it, I last like 5 seconds and I say, fuck that shit. Marky Filer asked, why can't we use lightning for power generation or other uses? Because lightning questions. There's a reason I don't do comedy. Mark, nobody does comedy. Comedy just is. But I think the answer is that because there's just so much energy in such a short amount of time, there's no way that we can capture it without destroying what it is that we're trying to capture. Rick asked, if you were stranded on a deserted island, what book, album, and object would you take with you? The book would be a survivalist guide, the album would be Beach Boys' Pet Sounds, and the object would be a GPS phone so I can get off the island. Tom Mills from Green Shorts asked, why do people leave rude and inane comments online? Because people are super brave when there's no consequences to their actions. Greg from Greg's Garage asked, why do people develop an addiction to smelling socks or anything else bizarre like that? So I'm just going to share a little bit here. When I went to the YouTube Next Up program, we did this thing called a challenge video, and the challenge video that I did was an opening to a video about addiction, which I'm already getting started on. So you get a video, Greg. Greg has his own channel. He has plenty of his own videos. Why doesn't he need one of mine? Christopher Cannon asked, with what we know about how general relativity and how if you approach a black hole, time slows down, and special relativity and how as you approach the speed of C, time slows down, could the Big Bang, the greatest black hole exploding at nearly the speed of C, dilate billions of years into a shorter period of time? Lightning round. My understanding is that since the universe is all there is, then it was expanding out, and my understanding is that the speed of light only counts if it's going through space, so if space itself is expanding, it can go faster than the speed of light. Therefore, the time dilation doesn't count, I think. Michael Lewis asked, how soon will we be overtaken by our robot overlords? It's already happened. Run! It's time for a burger. Thank you all so much for your questions. I had a lot of fun doing this. And seriously, let me know what you thought of this. Is this something that you want to see more of? Was this a total fail? You never want to see anything like this again? Obviously, I do a little bit more deep dives in my normal videos, but something like this every once in a while, you tell me. Do you like it? I'll keep doing them. Thanks to everybody who participated in this. Thanks to everybody who has watched any of my videos and helped me get to this 1 million view point. I am just totally blown away by the whole thing. But there's a lot more coming. A lot of cool things going on in the future. I am actually excited about things in my life, which is not something I'm used to. And it's a big part of what you guys have done for me. And I appreciate that endlessly. I'm gonna stop gushing now. Give this a thumbs up and share it to help it reach more people. And if this is your first time here, most of my videos are nothing like this, but hit subscribe or check out any of the blue tinged thumbnails on the side and check out some of my other videos. I will see you guys next time. Have an eye-opening week. Take care of yourselves. Love you guys.